Pre-algebra, I just want to say to you first off, great job sticking in with these videos and watching. I do have to say that your class has one of the highest averages as far as amount of minutes watched on the videos and average view length and those type of things. So I appreciate your hard work. So let's get right to this and learn a little bit about drawing graphs to help solve problems. Now, you only have a few questions, just a couple of short questions on this particular assignment to do that I'd like you to go ahead and get going on it as soon as you get done watching this video, because it should make a lot of good sense. Notice that I have this in notebook paper format. Since that's what you have, if I show you how to do these graphs on here, that should be very helpful to you. So let's just take a look at this. Now what we are going to assume on this is we're going to assume that this is a linear type of situation. In other words, that every day the plant grows the same amount, and so that would be something that we can handle with your pre-algebra skills as far as making a graph, and then our job today is then to use it to interpret to find out some new information. Where you'll go with this in later on math classes would be able to make an equation that goes with it and then project out beyond. But for right now, we're going to take a look at this scenario. We have a plant that after the first day, it has grown to 1.2 centimeters, and by the 10th day it's grown to 28.5 centimeters. So you have a good solid idea in your head as far as what is happening. So what we want to do in order to be able to do that, to figure out new information, we're going to draw a graph and then use that graph to estimate how tall the plant was on the 4th day. You'll see in a minute why it's an estimate rather than an exact answer. But your estimate does have to be based on your graph, and we can do a very nice job with that right on graph paper. So if you need to pause it right here and write this question down so when you look at your notes you'll have something to refer to, that's great. So what we need to do when we make a graph, we need to think about it in terms of ordered pairs. Now, we have days and we have growth. And we're going to assume that the amount of growth depends on what day you're on. So we're going to make a couple of ordered pairs. Okay? And ordered pairs always represent something. So on the first day, the height of the plant was 1.2 centimeters. And this will be very much like the first question that you're asked in your homework, is just to make the ordered pairs. On the 10th day, we're at 28.5 centimeters. So then our job is going to be to draw a graph. So we're going to make a meaningful graph, which means that you need to make an axis that goes this way, and you need to make an axis that goes this way. We're used to calling them the X and Y axes, but in this case, rather than being X and Y, we're going to label them with what they represent. So you would use either a note card or a ruler or something that you have that's straight to make these things as straight as possible. You can use the edge of a thicker piece of paper or just something to help you keep these as straight as possible so your graph will be as meaningful as possible. Now, our x-axis, we're going to label that as being in days. So what day number it is. Sorry, sometimes this works better. So we're going to go the day number on this axis, and the number of centimeters will be on this. So in other words, we're going to say the height will be on this y-axis. Okay, so it's very easy to say, okay, we've got 10 days, so we're just going to go by ones on this day axis. I do want you don't have to measure it, but I want you to make your little lines as close as possible to being even. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now notice I didn't measure them, but I did try my very best to make it so that each one is the same distance from the next one. And so these are 1 to 10. I want you to go ahead and label them 1 to 10. Yours is easier than mine. Yours doesn't have that happening to you. Okay, so your time to do that. So those are your day numbers. Now the part that's a little trickier is the y-axis or the height axis. We're going from 1.2 all the way up to 28.5. So we need to take the number of lines that we have and we need to figure out what is going to be a good gap for us to take when we are looking at that. So we're going all the way up to 28.5. We're starting at 1.2. So what that means is I have to figure out if I'm taking 28.5 and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9 or 10 lines to work with. If I work with the 10, I'm kind of getting up here. So I've got like 9 lines to work with. I want to get a good estimate about how much, what's going to make sense and how big my gap should be for each one of these. So let's think about this for a minute. Okay. Oops, I did not mean to do that. There we go. So I take that 28.5 and I try to divide that out by the 9 lines that I'm going to use to make my graph. And I know that I'm going to get 3 point something, but you don't want to go by 3 point something. Okay, this is 27, and as I do, I see I'm going to be going more decimal places out. We don't want to go by less than the amount, because if I go by less than, I'm going to run out of space and my last number is going to be off of the chart. So what you want to do is you want to round this up. So I want to go by 4s. Because if I go by 4s, it'll give me something nice that I can work with. And it's going to make a very nice graph. So I'm going to get rid of what I just drew with a smaller eraser so I don't make a mess. Okay. And we're going to go by 4s here. And I'm taking my time because you're taking your time to actually draw these. So we're going to go this way. And these are in centimeters. Now notice I don't have to go all the way up to the up there, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So we're going up here by 4s. We're at 32. That's beyond where I need to be, so we're good, but it's not too far, and we're going to be able to get a pretty good graph going here. Now we have just 2 points to graph. We have the ordered pair 1, 1.2, and 10, 28.5. And you can see by the numbers you're not going to be able to get exact. So this is a good idea of estimating. Now 1.2 is a little above 1, okay? But this is at 4. So we need to go not even just at the half. We need to go about here. We're going close to a half of a half in order to get to where 1 would live, about 1.2 in centimeters. Once again, this is an estimate, so it's got to be visibly below where 2 would be. 2 would be right in the middle. And I probably even have this a little bit high here. Bring it down just a little bit. right down here would be about where 1.2 lives. The 10, and once again, you can use a ruler to make sure you're going up straight. The 28 line is right here, and I need to go just a tiny bit above the 28 line, but not very much because it's only 28.5. And then all the way, you know, it's going, so you're going really just an eighth above that. So I have here 2 ordered pairs, and what you do is you take a nice straight edge. Now mine automatically makes straight, but for this I want you to take either a ruler or a note card or something so that you are going as straight as you can from here to here. Okay, it can be the edge of a book, it can be anything to make a nice straight line. So far we've found the ordered pair and we've made a graph with our 2 points, and it's asking us the question. Now we've drawn the graph, so that's one part of it. The other part says, then estimate how tall the plant was on the 4th day. So here's the 4th day, and in order to estimate how tall it was, we have to find out where it is on the 4th day. So I'm just going to label this. I'm actually going to make it green so that we can think about this as being another point. So on the 4th day, it's about here. So in order to find out about how tall that is, I need to go across here at the same level. So I'm right about here. Okay, this is about where the 4th day comes out to be. Right across. So we see that this is between the 8 and the 12. 10 would be exactly between. It's a little above. It's between. It's not at 10. It's definitely above 10, but it's not up to 12. So what we can do is we can estimate that it's probably about 11 centimeters tall on the 4th day. And that would be your answer, that it would be 11 centimeters tall on the 4th day. Now it's an estimate because we don't have the exact fine little marks on here to get us exact. And we're assuming that this is linear growth so that it's a line, but this is a really good way of getting an about answer, and it is a strategy that you can use in order to find. Now on your homework, you have one where you're just finding an ordered pair. You have 2 of them where you're making a graph. The first one, you're going to octane reading the y-axis, and you are probably going to want to make your graph even go by, well, I'll let you ponder that a little bit. You're looking for your estimate. Degree days on the x-axis and their cubic meters of gas on the y-axis, and get your approximate values there. The other 2 are review questions from the previous lesson, so you should be pretty good on those. That's it for today. I don't want to do a ton of examples because I want you to go ahead and then do yours on your assignment, and then make sure that you give the feedback when you turn that in tomorrow, but spend the rest of your class time today working on that. Have a really wonderful, blessed day.